Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning. Oh my God, how amazing are you? Let's start off with you. You were bloody brilliant. I was just like, you know, the worst part, you know, when somebody goes on stage before you and they absolutely nail it, I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble here. I thought, I'm really in trouble here. I was going, don't say that. Oh my God, you're brilliant. Oh my God. So you're going everywhere where you need to go in life, and it's just such a pleasure. No, I love being here this morning. I've met some of you in the room already from that video. You'd have obviously seen yourself there. And as you know, as it says in that video, some really, really special people in this room. Obviously, I haven't met you all, but you're in this room for one reason, and because you're special and you're giving and you're caring. So I'm gonna talk about my life and where I've gone and what I'm doing and why I'm here and whatnot. And I'm going to start from the beginning. So basically, I was 6 months old when I got adopted. I was in a place called Matlock up north near Nottingham. So I'm bloody English. Well, I'm not. I'm Welsh because I've got red blood, so I'm definitely Welsh. Bloody hate the English. Anyone English in the room? Oh, sorry. You're all right. You're all right. You're okay. So yeah, I love you all. So I was 6 months old when I got adopted. It's quite funny when I talked to my mum and dad about this, and I talked to them. My mum's 88 now, my dad's 84. They're still around, which is amazing, and they're in good nick. And I always remember chatting to my dad. I had this vision that they went to Matlock, and it was like an adoption home, and I had this vision of all these cots with kids in, you know, just one there, then. And I had visions of my dad sort of going down the aisle, no. Fairly cute. No, I don't like him, bit scruffy. Oh, this one's nice. Oh, and I thought that would have been me. I spoke to my dad about it. He said, Jamie, if you were in the cute stakes, we definitely didn't pick you for that reason, because you definitely weren't cute. So I was like, all right, cheers, Dad, at least you're honest. But they basically went up to Matlock. They did all the paperwork, and this was in the 70s, and it was a lot different to what it is now. I think it's a lot different to what it was then. But they basically brought me to South Wales and brought me into a home where I've got an older brother who's from my mum and dad, so not adopted. Then they adopted my sister Sarah, and my mum was told she could never have kids again, so this is where they adopted Sarah. Then she got pregnant again, which was a miracle, and then they had Lucy, and then they adopted me. So I was the little runt in the family. I'm the youngest of them all, of my brother and two sisters. And because I was the youngest, my parents were, experienced about having kids at this point. So I was just this, you can imagine what I was like, when I was 2, 3, 4, 5, running around the house, absolutely crazy, jumping over the settees. I was a real tearaway. And I got away with murder, I was that kid in the house which got away with murder. And I just got those memories of my mum, stop jumping on the settee, and all this. But it was when I got that little bit older, I realised, and my parents realised, that he loves sport. We can see he's in sport. And it was when I was 11 years old, we had sports day in school, and it was my final year of sports day. And I'd done football and played rugby and a bit of tennis in school and whatnot. But it was in this final sports day which we had this event called the obstacle race. The obstacle race involved starting off running with an egg and spoon. Right? You'll remember the egg and spoon race. So you'd run with the egg and spoon for about 10 metres, put the egg and spoon down, then you'd have to go over one of those wooden benches, which you always see in school. Run over a wooden bench like this. Then you'd get into this sack, like this, like that, and then you'd end up going into this crash mat, underneath the crash mat, and sprint to the finish. My headmaster was a runner himself. He used to run for Newport Harriers, and he was the person starting the race. So he said, on your marks, get set, go. So I started running with the second spoon like that, over the wooden bench like that, into the sat like that, went underneath the crash mat, and I couldn't see where I was going because it was dark. And I ended up coming out of the side, and my headmaster goes, Jamie, you've gone out with the side, you've cheated, go back to the start. What? Okay, ran all the way back to the start, picked up the egg and spoon like this, over the wooden bench like that, and sat like that, underneath the crash mat, sprinted to the finish, na, 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 na. Crossed the line, I ended up winning the race. Woo! Yeah, I ended up going twice as fast as every kid in the whole school. And my headmaster said, hey, Jamie, you're very fast, aren't you? And I goes, I am, sir. I'm a super kid. He goes, you are? And I said, I know I am, like this. And he said, I think you should join a running club. So I ended up joining Newport Harriers. So that was so sports day was on the Tuesday. On the Thursday, I'd gone to Newport Harriers. And I always remember, you always remember your first sort of time you go to anything like that. And it was my granddad and my mum were the first people to ever take me to the track. And I went down, and it was like, oh my God, Newport Harriers. And it was all people with their vests, and it was all serious. And it was just an amazing thing. And I think it was about a month or so later, I entered the county championships, which were the Gwent championships. And I was running in the 100 metres in the Colts, they're called. And I ended up winning the 100 metres in the Gwent championships, my first sort of major race. And it's funny because, you know, people always ask me, what's your favourite medal? What's it? Those first medals were my favourite medals. They're even more important to me than my Olympic and my world and this and that. And the reason for it is because, quite simply, if I didn't have that medal, I certainly wouldn't have that medal. You know, it's stepping stones to which gets you there. But it was lovely because at that time, I remember watching, so I'm 11 years old now, and I remember watching the Olympics on TV. This is 1984. And I'm 11 years old, and I'm watching the Olympics on TV, and I remember seeing Daley Thompson. We all remember Daley Thompson, legend decathlete. So I'm watching him, and Daley, as you know, he's quite light-skinned. I'm quite light-skinned. And my parents are both white, and I'm mixed race. And I remember going, is Daley my dad? Right? It's true. I remember going, I reckon that I'm fast. I reckon he's my old man. So I'm watching him with serious interest now, going, oh my God, yes, and he wins the Olympics, and suddenly I'm in love with this guy called Daley Thompson. And it was the craziest moment, right? I was at an event with Daley about 6 years ago. He's become a very good friend of mine. I'm at an event, and we're both on stage speaking. And we're both in the chairs at the front, like this, big audience, big black tie dinner. And I started saying about this story, right? And I turned to Daley, and I said, Daley, I just got to tell you this. You know, I watched you at the Olympics in '84 and blah, 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 and all the audience are listening. And I said, when I was 11 years old, I'm adopted. I thought you were my dad. And he looks at me like that. He takes the mic off me. He goes, what makes you think I'm not? That was my first proper interaction with Daley. You know, that's the sort of character he is, you know. But it's funny that, you know, you grow up as this person, and you've always got that little bit of something in the background going, well, my mum and dad who have raised me, they're amazing people, and they love me unconditionally. But you've always got that little bit in the background of, oh, you know, I'm mixed race. I was the only sort of mixed race kid in the school, and everyone would say, oh, you're different. And I was going, I know I am, and I don't, you know. So it was always that little bit of something in the background. But my mum and dad, I think, are the most special people I've ever met, you know, and you'll hear this with the people you're looking after. I mean, my mum and dad, just to give you a bit of context, you know, when I was 11, I was the fastest kid in the county. When I got to 12, 13, 14, 15, my father would take me to the athletics track 3 times a week. He was an architect, my mum a school teacher, and they were very busy people with 3 other children in the household, but my dad found the time to take me to training 3 times a week, then 4 times a week. They would take me to international, to running tracks. They would take me to the competitions up and down the country. And I remember just to show you the love and think what love can actually do to a person. I remember when I was 17, so this was 6 years, I'd been running for 6 years at that point, training 3-4 times a week. And I was at the British Junior Championships. And it was my first major sort of time where I went to England and I was facing the best in England. And I'd won the 100 metres and 200 metres in the Welsh Championships, and I'm in England. I'm in the British. I'm going, okay. So I ran the 100 metres, and it was a guy called Darren Campbell who went on to win an Olympic gold medal and an Olympic silver medal in the 200 metres. He was in the race, a few others in the race. And I ended up coming third in the 100 metres. So I went from being the best in Wales to being third in Britain over the 100 metres. And my mum and dad were obviously there in the stands, and my uncle and my auntie were there. And they were both, again, massive fans. And I remember my uncle saying to me, he said, you know, if you get a medal in this, we'll take you to the shop, which was in the running track. And there was this shop which had all different tracksuits and bits and bobs. And he said, you can have any tracksuit you want. And I always remember it. It's picking up this tracksuit. It looked like a spacesuit. I mean, it was really nice. It was a Gore-Tex spacesuit. It was amazing. And it cost £100. I remember this costing £100, which would be about £400 now. And they bought me this tracksuit. And it was so amazing because it wasn't just my mum and dad who were looking and loving and caring for me. Now it became my auntie and uncle. And suddenly I've got this little fan club of people who are just giving me that unwavering attention and love and nurturing. To which the following day was the 200 metres in the British Championships. And I remember I had a Welsh running vest on. I really remember. I'm in lane 5 in the heats. And when I was a kid, nobody could ever say my surname right. They would call me James Baulch, and I was like, hang on, that's the actor, innit? Like, they would never say Baulch, it was Baulch, you know, they'd never get it right. But I remember the gun went in the 200 metres, and I'm running around the bend like this, and I heard the announcer going, in the patriotic colours of Wales, we have Jamie Baulch. And I remember going, bloody hell, he's got my name right. Yes, like that. I ended up coming second in that race. Darren Campbell ended up winning it, but I came third in the 100 metres and second in the 200 metres. And that's when my whole athletics career really took off, where you suddenly go from being a local athlete to suddenly being an international athlete, and suddenly the rest is sort of history. My mum, my dad would, you know, if it was raining, shining, windy, wet, Wales, wherever, he would take me to training, to which it got to 4 times a week, 5 times a week. He's still an architect. He's still got 3 other kids, which he would look after just as much as me. So they become very, very busy people, which I just think is amazing when I look back at what they actually done. But then you get that little bit better and better and better. And before you know it, you're at a thing called the Olympic Games. And I remember racing in the British Championships against Roger Black, Ewan Thomas, Mark Ritson, all, you know, some amazing athletes. And I ended up getting picked for the Olympic Games in 1996. And when you get picked for that, you get a brown envelope through the door. And I was living with my mum and dad still at the time, 1996. And I remember getting this brown envelope through the door. And my mum and dad, it's come, it's arrived. I think this is going to be the letter. And they're there with me, right? They're there. They're not like, oh, yeah, just tell us later. They're there. And we bust open this envelope, and they're there, and they're next to me, and it says, Jamie Baulch, you are cordially invited to the Olympic Games to represent Great Britain in the 4x400 metre relay. Can you imagine that moment and being there with your mum and dad, and they're hugging you and they're just saying, this is amazing, and it's this most special moment. And I remember that moment very clearly, and so does my mum and dad. They remember that really clear. I think it was something like about 2 weeks later, I'm flying to Atlanta, to America, my first Olympics. the Olympics, as you see, they're huge on TV, 10,000 athletes or so, all competing from all different countries. I'm 23 years old at the Olympics, like a little kid. When I think of how young I was, didn't think I was young at the time, but I was a kid looking back. And we had the fastest team, one of the fastest teams on the planet. Obviously, the Americans were great, the Jamaicans were great, but we had Roger Black, Lord Black, the housewife's favourite. All the women loved Roger Black. We had Ewan Thomas for Wales, yes. We had myself for Wales, and we had Mark Richardson from England. So the Olympic Games, we were basically in lane 5, and the American team were in lane 4, and we had made it to the final of the Olympic Games. And it's in Atlanta, so it's an American crowd, or big American crowd. Anyway, the gun goes, and Ewan Thomas is on first leg, I'm on second leg, Mark Richardson third leg, Roger Black, housewife's favourite, on fourth leg. So the gun goes, and Ewan Thomas is running around, 100,000 people, billion people watching on TV, coming around the track, and Ewan gives me the relay baton. I'm thinking, this is my turn to shine. My mum and dad were at home, they didn't get to see it live in the stands. And I'm running around the bend for Great Britain now, around the first curve, going, okay, this is what I've trained for, this is all I'm trained for. So I'm running around that first curve. The American is in lane 4. And as I go around that first bend, he runs past me and he goes, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah. I'm thinking, who's this guy like? And I said in my head, you can't disrespect the Welsh. I thought, I'm going to get you now, right? So he went round the first curve like this. He was about that far ahead of me, and I thought, that's it, I'm going to get him. So I went as fast as I could. So I ran past, I went, meep, meep, like Roadrunner. And you saw him like, what the hell? Like, so I went past him, the crowd went, ooh. Like, I'm like, have that, son. Do you know what I mean? Come run the track. Unfortunately, the guy caught me back up, gave the relay baton over, but I caught the team back up. We were in good contention. Mark Richardson on third leg, Roger Black coming home, up the home straight. We get beaten by the American team, but we come second in the Olympics, which was like an amazing moment. Cross the line, and we're like, oh my God, we got a medal. Massive hugs, crowds going crazy. And it was a really special moment. But when you go to an Olympics or a World Championships, European Champs, Commonwealth Games, you go on a thing called the medal ceremony, the rostrum. You'll have seen this. And so we're lining up behind the platform, behind the rostrum now. Jamaica, America in first, blah, blah, blah. And they call us up. In second place from Great Britain, Gran Britannia, Great Britain, you're on the rostrum. First place, blah, blah, and you get your medal. So somebody like really important gives me this. So this is my Olympic medal. Somebody important, I can't remember who it was, might be the Vice President of the United States, I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much. He gives us this medal, and we shake his hand, blah, blah, blah. But you also get beautiful ladies who give you the flowers, right? So this beautiful lady gives me the flowers, and she goes, congratulations, Mr. Baulch. I went, oh, thank you very much. And so we get the flowers now. We've all got the flowers. At this point, the flag's going up. Na, 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 na. Right, flag's going up. Ewan Thomas nudges me on the rostrum. He goes, oh my God, have you seen the flower lady? I went, well, yes. He said, she's beautiful. I went, yeah. He said, I'm going to get her phone number. I went, whoa, 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 whoa. I went, stop. This is our moment. We should be looking at the this. He goes, no. And he turns to the girl. He goes, hey, girl. He says, I think you're beautiful. Can I have your phone number? But he starts chatting to her on the rostrum. What he didn't realise was a massive microphone above his head. And everything he was saying was getting transported onto the BBC, right? So we come off the rostrum like that, thinking we're $1 million like this. Anyway, Ewan Thomas's mobile phone goes off. Hello, this is Mrs. on the other end of the phone. He went from being a hero to zero in that one moment. So I always say to people, if you've got children and anything who go to the Olympics, just don't look at the flower girls, just ignore them. And they have handsome flower men now, it's very PC. You just go ignore them. But let me take this medal off, and I'm going to pass it around. Just feel free. Don't run away with it, because I'll catch you up. I took that to a school once, and some kids was like, I went, oh, mate. Tried to run off with my medal. Like, take photographs to wherever you want, put on social media, whatever. It's not made of chocolate. That was in 1996. And in '97, we basically went to the World Championships, and we felt at that championships, we felt that we could win. We had an amazing team. That day at the Olympics, we broke the British European record, which lasted, how long? 27 years. It only just got broken by the British team recently. That's how fast we were that day. So when we went to Athens a year later, we were like up for it. It was the same 4 athletes which were competing there. And myself, you and Thomas, Mark Richardson, Roger Black. And we were really up for it. And that day we ran sensationally. But again, the American team beat us by about this much, which hurt. And if you see video footage of us getting beaten that day, it was a tough one because, we felt we could win. We felt we had the better team, but we lost. And coming second in the World Championships is an amazing feat, but it's still not that gold, and we want that gold. To which, 11 years later, we got upgraded to the gold medal because, fortunately, unfortunately, however much you want to look at it, one of the guys from America was taking drugs and got caught. And so we got upgraded, of which it was 6 months ago, we actually had the medal ceremony to the upgrade, which was really lovely, and I'll get you to play that in a minute. But we had upgraded to the gold medal. But people say to me, what was it like missing out on that gold medal at the time? And yeah, it hurt. And, you always want to win and not come second or third or maybe make a final. As a sportsman, you want to be the best. But the one thing I'd say, the one positive thing I would say, a massive positive thing out of it, we celebrated it this year in the Olympic Stadium in London, where they had the 2012 Olympics. 60,000 people got to watch myself, you and Thomas, Mark Richardson, to get their official upgraded gold medals. And the most special moment for me was this, because in '97, my mum and dad didn't make that championships. My son was only 2, so he wouldn't have come across. I certainly didn't have grandchildren then. And this year, this happened. If you can play the video, you'll get a little bit of a feel of what's what. Cheers, thank you. So the most, I actually started tearing up a little bit just watching that because, feel that's love right there. Is my mum and dad were in the stadium to watch that, and to have a full circle, a full circle of 30 years of, them giving me, as much energy and love and courage and all the bits they had to do. There must have been a lot of struggles in their lives to be able to do what they've done for me and my sisters and my brother. But to have them watch their son get a gold medal 28 years later was maybe the most special moment of my athletics career. To have them in the stand watching. My son was there, my grandson was there. And that meant more to me than any other medal I've ever received. So it was an amazing moment. I remember in 1999, I'm at the World Championships, the World Indoor Championships in Japan. And in 1999, I was the fastest runner on the planet, which was kind of pretty cool. And I entered that competition and I went, I'm going to win this. It was maybe one of the only competitions I ever went into when I had this unwavering, I didn't have any doubts that I was going to lose. And I remember getting to the final, and I remember actually just being on the start line, just so relaxed. Wasn't nervous at all. I went, I've got this. I'm going to win this. I'm the best in the world. Nobody's going to beat me. 45 seconds later, I was world champion. I crossed the line and I beat everyone by about 5 meters, and you do the lap of honor. And it was really lovely because when I did the lap of honor, the crowd were going crazy and going wild. The first thing I could think about was I need to speak to my mum and dad because it wasn't live on the TV at the time. And I remember going into the infield and getting my phone out of the bag. And I phoned my mum and dad up a minute after the race. Phoned my mum and dad up. And I said, and my dad goes, son, how did it go? How did it go? Tell me, how did it go? And I said, Dad, your son is world champion. And he broke down and cried on the phone. That, for me, was the pinnacle, ultimately, I suppose, of my athletics career, because what this is all about, it's not about what we do, it's about what you do, which makes us the people who we are. You'll have had this a lot over the years, people coming up to you and saying, oh, you're incredible, or what you do is wonderful. It's deeper than that. It's a lot more than that. It isn't just, oh, you're great, oh, well done. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday as I was traveling home from London, and I said that I'm speaking today, and we had a conversation. I said, Steve, these people are amazing. And he said, no, they are. He said, they're very special. And he said, and this was his words to me, he said, Jamie, I'm a really good guy. And he is. He's a really lovely man, got a very good family. And he said, I'm a good guy, and I couldn't do what they do. And I went, paused, and I just listened to what he said. And he said, it's not about just being good. It's about being great. And it's about being something which is maybe to lots of people untouchable. And, you, listen to this now, you make people like me. Listen to that. You make people like me, because without you, there is no me. My medals have come from you. That, the support on my mum and dad, the support which you're giving others, you touched upon it yourself earlier on, is when somebody gives you that unwavering love and support, you make people like us. If you don't do that, we just go broken through the system, and then we get unheard of, we're unseen, we're unnoticed. But when you give us that opportunity, so for me, that moment of speaking to my father and saying, your son is world champion, and he cried, I went, yes, because my dad never cries, or hardly ever. But to break him at that point, because I know he gave me so much support, and my mum, everyone around me has given me the support. And those tears were of maybe relief. I don't know. I need to ask my dad. I know he was proud, and he's always proud. He's the proudest person I know of my career. And that's special, and you guys are just so special. And that's why I got involved with this, because if I can touch one more person to get involved with something like this, just one more, then we're on a winner, right? You want more people. There's more children who need help. There's more children who need positive help. And if I can do that, for one thing, then we're winning. So I want to sort of wrap up in the respect of, I should have said this at the start, but there's an opportunity now to ask me some questions if you want to ask me a question on my life, career, where I've gone, what I'm doing, why, what, who, how. So I should have asked at the start so you could think about one. But has anyone got a question? Oh, go. Can we have a race afterwards? I tell you what, right, that's a good question. You know what? I used to go to lots of schools and speak in schools, right? And it's a good, I had that, right? I had somebody go in, so I met a school and they said, race Mr. Smith, race Mr. Smith. And the whole school, all the kids said, race Mr. Smith. And I'm like, race Smith, I'm loving it. Like going, I don't care who Mr. Smith is, but I'm going to race him, right? Next thing you know, Mr. Smith came round the corner. And Mr. Smith was the county champion over 100 metres. I was like, shit. And I said to and I was at my peak at the time, and I said to Mr. Smith, I took him to a side like this. I said, Mr. Smith, don't do anything stupid. Don't beat me. Let me win today. Blah, blah, blah. You know, don't be a hero, you know. And so we had no warm-up. We hadn't had any warm-up. And I'm down the bottom of the school field, and we had to run down the school field and back. Don't be an idiot, Mr. Smith. 3, 2, 1, go. Mr. Smith went. He's at 2 metres ahead. He's 2 metres ahead. We touched the wall. I had to turn into Linford Christie. I was coming back down like that. I managed to beat Mr. Smith, but that's the last time I'm ever going to run against anyone. Because you never know who you're bloody up against, even you. Oh, yeah.
Did we ever establish, is Calon Thompson your dad? Or?
Well, you know what? I've never done a DNA test. Maybe. No, he's become a really good friend of mine now. You know, we were in Turkey literally recently, and my partner Shell was up in Scotland with him yesterday doing some stuff with Vodafone. You know, it's really crazy when you start off in life and you've got this want and you get given this opportunity, which my mum and dad gave me. You know, nobody else really gave me that, because if my mum and dad didn't take me there, I wouldn't be that person. It's because of they gave me that. So it's funny that I was in Turkey recently with Colin Jackson, who was my coach, and Daley Thompson, my partner Shell. We were over there literally about 3 weeks ago, and I'm playing paddle with Daley and Colin, and I'm hitting the ball, just playing like this, and I said to him, bloody hell, that's Daley Thompson. That's Colin Jackson. And they're my mates, but now and then I just have that pinch you moment of, these guys are bloody heroes of mine, you know? And, hey, you know, I'm not going to do the DNA test because I want him to be my man in a way, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you know, I did that documentary, generally watch it. It's on, if you go on jamiebaulch.com, my website, and you go onto the TV section, you'll see documentary 1 and 2 in there. And I went to search for my birth mother. And the only reason I went to search for my birth mother is not so much that I wanted to find her because I felt anything was missing, because certainly in my life, my mum and dad who've raised me are my mum and dad. We may not be the same blood, but they're certainly my mum and dad. And I ended up getting to meet my mother when I was 41. And I remember, and generally watch this program, this is the only bit they don't film because it was a fly-on-the-wall documentary. And it was this moment where my mother was behind the door. And I'm going, shit, like my mum's in there. And I'm like this. I'm going, oh my God, I'm 41, I'm just about to meet my mum, she's in that room. And I said to the cameras and the TV production, I said, you're not filming that. You're not filming that moment. This is my moment, because I'm meeting my mum and it's personal. They went, yeah, certainly, you know, they didn't want to do that. I opened up the door, and it was a courtyard, and it was about half the size of this room. Big courtyard. And my mother, my bloody mother, is sat there like this. And I'm like, oh, that's my mum. And I went over to her, And what do you do when you first meet your mum? Nobody give me any education on what you do or what you say when you meet your mother after 41 years. So she sat down on the thing, and I thought, well, you don't kiss her or you don't shake her hand because that's too formal. Well, what do you do? So I rugby tackled her. I just dived in like that, right? And she sort of hugged me, and this was the breaking point. She then said, Jamie, right? And that may not mean anything to you guys because my name actually is James. My mum and dad, who've adopted me, my name's James. My birth mother named me Jamie. So when she said Jamie, you know, she's calling her son again, you know, and that moment for me broke me. I mean, we were crying for bloody 20 minutes. I couldn't even say hello, and she was, you know, and we were blubbering messes. But she said very quickly when we did speak, again, this is all off camera, she said, it was difficult. I was 18, and me being mixed race in the 70s was just a no, you know. Her mother didn't approve. She was 18, and she gave me up. But she said to me, she every day always thought about me. It was never a day. And in fact, I've got a half sister, and Jaya is my half sister. My son's called Jay. She's called Jaya. It's all a bit like, whoa, this is spooky, a bit weird. And she's 10 years younger than me. And Jaya said, Mum's never stopped speaking about you. She didn't know who I was, by the way. She didn't go, oh, he's the one that they didn't know until I did that documentary. But, you know, one of the most wonderful things in the world. But when I did those documentaries, I got to the second one. And at the very end of documentary number 2, you know what I discovered is it isn't about DNA. It's about who loves you. And my mum and dad love me, and I love them. And I discovered that at the end of the program. So it's, yeah, I'm glad I've done it. Yeah, any other questions? Yes?
Jim, I was going to ask you, my family adopted my sister in the 70s. And my sister describes a very kind of warm, loving family relationship. Not with me, obviously, with the rest of the family. And she's never met her biological mum. And she has always struggled with her sense of identity, despite saying that she feels really secure. And I wonder, I mean, because it'll help, you know, speaking to foster carers, I know a lot of their children struggle with their sense of identity. Was there anything that your mum and dad said to you when you were little, when you were questioning your identity and your place?
Yeah.
Was there anything that your mum and dad said to you which made you feel secure and made you feel safe?
Yeah, well, my mum's just an angel, you know. Bloody hell. Like, she's 88. And I've started going to church with her, you know. She goes on a Wednesday, and I'm like, it's important I turn up. And she tells me that she used to tell me bedtime stories which involved adoption. So I always knew I was adopted before I could understand it. My mum's a retired school teacher, so she's very clever and, you know, with all the wording. So by the time I knew, I felt secure. Yes, being adopted, there's always that little bit of, you know, oh, I'm different. It's always that little bit there. But, you know, we pretty much had an open conversation always throughout my life. And when I did do that documentary in search of my birth mother, my mum goes to me, she goes, it's about bloody time, you know, because she thought, you know, because I'd never really asked because it was not really massively important. And one of the reasons I wanted to do the adoption program is not to find out who my mother actually really was. It was just because when I pass, and I'm this world champion and this and that, I wanted to know a bit about more of my lineage and why am I a bloody so quick? And, you know, why I presumed it must be my black father, who I'd never met, by the way. I thought it must be him because all the Jamaicans, because he's from Jamaica, they're all fast. So I went, oh, it's going to be him. We did documentary number 2, and it comes out that my mum's genes, my birth mum's genes, are rapid. She gave me the genes, which I found phenomenal. But no, it's a book out there. It's called The Primal Wound. don't know if anyone's ever read it, but it's basically the Bible of adoption and the Bible of, because as adoptive children, fosters, we've all got that little bit of sense of longing and loss, you know, and I was always trying to work that out. Like, for example, I'd go into a hotel room, and then when I leave it, I'd always go, oh, I'm never going to be in that room ever again. Just some little tiny loss, feeling of loss. That, oh, I can't believe I'm never going to see that room again. Like only real small things. But the primal wound is basically the Bible of understanding, and it's good for both parties, not just fosterers, adopters. It's good for both. So definitely look at that. Anyone else? Come on. Oh, at the back. Yeah. Hi. Thank you.
I wondered, in your career, have there been any other professional athletes you've met and you've got to know and speak with, been through perhaps a similar journey themselves, or adopted, or even fostered?
Yeah. It's quite a few. Dame Kelly Holmes, Chris Akabusi. You'd be surprised how many there are. And I think when you are fostered or when you are adopted, this is my personal view, is you know, as you know, and we got the bloody fire in our bellies. You know, you said it in your speeches. You know, I turned my rage into running fast. You know what I mean? Well, and I questioned this X amount of years ago. I think the reason I ran so fast is because I wanted my birth mother to see me. I think that was the underbelly of it. If I run really quick, she's going to know who I am. You know? Funny enough, did the adoption. She goes, I've heard you're a bit of a runner, and you? Yeah. She didn't know who I was. And I went, well, that didn't bloody work then, did I? What did I need to do? She actually generally said this. And this was so funny. My mother, like, she was a lovely lady. She's passed now, unfortunately. But she goes, I thought you might have been Usain Bolt. And I was like... honestly, like, you know, it was a really special moment because my mother, she had cancer. She was only meant to live for 6 months after when we did the doc. I've spoiled it now if you haven't seen it, but basically I get told on TV, your mum's got cancer, bang, and I'm crying on TV. And I got to meet her about a week later, and she lived for another 2 years. And we had 2 years of having Ferrero Rochers together because that's what she liked. So every time I saw her, I'd give her some Ferrero Rochers. I think I stuffed her with them. I should have maybe too many. But we had some amazing moments. And I remember being at the Celtic Manor. I got her to the Celtic Manor. My mum was a very basic lady, and she hadn't really done those sort of things. And in fairness to the Celtic, they put her up in one of the lodges there. And it was a beautiful moment where my adoptive... my mum, Marilyn, and Teresa, my birth mother, got to meet each other. And it was at the Celtic Manor, and that was a really mad moment, just seeing these two ladies hugging each other. And Marilyn, my adoptive mother, who is my mum, she gave Teresa flowers and she said, thanks for giving him to us. And I was like, and I remember them both going out of the door of the Celtic, of the lodge. And I said, Mum, and they both went, yes. And it was a really surreal moment, you know, seeing these two ladies who, like, one's my birth mother, but one's my mum who's raised me. And so special, you know. I'm really glad I managed to have the opportunity to meet her. To me, it was important to a degree. And this is the strange part about it now. Every time I look in the mirror, I see my mum. Because I never saw anyone older than me look like me. But my mum's face, her eyes, were like the spit of my eyes. I was like, oh! So every time I'm brushing my teeth, I go, oh, here's my mum. And that's nice, you know. We had some great moments, special moments together, which I'll never forget. And it's nice that we've got that documentary. And I said to her when she was around and when we first started filming together, when she actually got into the doc at the end, I said, look, we don't know each other. You're my mum. And I said, it's important to me that we get the message out there of how amazing adoption is, and how amazing my mum and dad have been to raise me and this and that. And Teresa, she basically goes, yeah, let's do it. So that doc is important for me, and it was important for her as well. So yeah, she was glad she did it too. Any other questions? No? Time? Is that okay? So yeah, just want to say, you know, it's been amazing coming down. Just to recap, you guys are so special. You're more than special. And like I said 20 minutes ago, it's people like you who make people like me. So thank you.